When you think of World War II atrocities, Hitler's name typically comes first to mind. Even Hitler thought they went too far. That's how extreme the Croatian Ustaše were. These weren't your standard wartime villains. They operated with a shocking medieval flair in an era of mechanized warfare. The Ustaše killed hundreds of thousands, using primarily knives, hammers, and mallets, rather than the industrialized methods of the Nazis. Their concentration camp at Jasenovac embodied primitive brutality that seemed almost anachronistic, like medieval torture techniques with a 20th century twist. What could possibly make the architects of the Holocaust recoil in horror? Let's find out. When the Nazis swept across Europe, they weren't the only ones with dreams of ethnic purity. In Croatia, a group was forming with ambitions that would make even the SS uncomfortable. The Ustaše, meaning insurgents in Croatian, began their bloody journey in 1929, founded by Ante Pavelić as a terrorist organization dedicated to Croatian independence from Yugoslavia at any cost. The Ustaše evolved from a small band of extremists into architects of one of history's most brutal regimes. They operated from the shadows, orchestrating political assassinations, including the 1934 killing of King Alexander I of Yugoslavia during his visit to France. This calculated terrorism aimed to destabilize the Yugoslav state and advance their cause through bloodshed, significantly raising their profile among European extremist movements. Unlike Hitler's rise through elections, Pavelić built his movement in exile, finding refuge in Mussolini's Italy. The Italian dictator provided them with training camps on Italian soil to develop skills in sabotage, assassination, and guerrilla warfare. Mussolini wanted Yugoslav territory, and the Ustaše served as his instruments for regional destabilization. Pavelić studied fascism from its creators, but added his own twisted elements. He infused Ustaše ideology with an obsessive hatred of Serbs and a peculiar blend of Catholic fundamentalism. Their 17 Principles manifesto explicitly rejected individual rights entirely, more extreme than Nazi Germany's selective approach to human dignity. Rights existed only for the Croatian national collective, with the economy subordinated entirely to the national interest. These principles laid the groundwork for the genocidal policies they would soon implement. Their opportunity arrived in April 1941, when Nazi Germany invaded Yugoslavia. As the country collapsed, the Ustaše took control of the newly formed independent state of Croatia, NDH, a Nazi puppet state encompassing modern Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and parts of Serbia. Pavelić returned from exile to lead as Poglavnik, leader, Croatia's equivalent to the Führer. The Ustaše defined their identity primarily through hatred. While Nazis built their ideology around German superiority, the Ustaše constructed theirs around Serbian inferiority. Their propaganda systematically dehumanized Serbs as a lesser race, threatening Croatia's existence, preparing the population for genocide. Their marriage of religious fervor with racial pseudoscience created something disturbing even to Nazi observers. They aimed to cleanse Croatia of foreign elements in the name of both racial purity and religious homogeneity. This blend of Catholic identity with fascist ideology produced a lethal combination that implemented ethnic cleansing with religious zeal. What truly set the stage for horror was how quickly ordinary Croatians radicalized under Ustaše rule. Teachers, priests, shopkeepers, and farmers transformed into willing executioners. The movement's infrastructure of hate spread through schools, churches, and media, creating a society where participation in atrocities became normalized as patriotic duty. These radicalized citizens didn't adopt the clinical efficiency of German death camps. Instead, they embraced methods so graphically medieval that they disturbed their own Nazi allies. When the regime that engineered the Holocaust sends formal complaints about your excessive cruelty, you've crossed a line few in history have dared approach. While the Nazi killing machine operated with industrial precision, the Ustaše preferred primitive tools that allowed them intimate contact with their victims, creating scenes reminiscent of a horror film set in Europe's darkest medieval period. They equipped themselves with knives, hammers, axes, and specially designed curved blades called serboshek, Serb cutter, which resembled large leather gloves with attached curved blades designed specifically for throat cutting of Serbs in massive numbers. At Jasenovac, the largest concentration camp complex in the Balkans and the only major extermination site not run by Germans, guards developed signature killing methods that contrasted sharply with Nazi methodical efficiency. One executioner, Petar Brzika, turned murder into sport, reportedly killing 1,860 prisoners in a single night during a grotesque competition among guards. The prize for this unimaginable atrocity, and then began to slaughter them with knives and throw them into the pit, sometimes while still alive. Hefner noted this was an entire, well-organized operation headed by experts who knew exactly what they wanted and who utilized a whole array of modern methods. SS General Ernst Fick witnessed Ustaše guards sporting necklaces made of human eyes and tongues during his visit to a camp near Sisak. Even high-ranking Nazi officials formally protested. SS Brigadeführer Franz Walter Stahlecker complained that the Ustaše's methods were extraordinarily primitive, while Hitler's plenipotentiary in Zagreb, Edmund Glaise von Horstenau, wrote that the Ustaše committed their deeds in a bestial manner not only against males of conscript age, but especially against helpless old people, women and children. Unlike the bureaucratic orderliness of Nazi camps, Jasenovac became a laboratory for cruelty, where guards invented torture methods daily. Prisoners were forced to drink the blood of fellow victims. Fathers were made to watch their sons torture, and some victims had their stomachs sliced open, filled with salt, and were left to die in agony. From a strategic perspective, Nazi military commanders recognized such brutality was counterproductive. General Lothar Rendulic noted that the Ustaše methods only created more enemies, while Hitler himself expressed frustration in a 1942 meeting with Croatian leader Ante Pavelić, stating that such extreme measures should be postponed until after the war. Hitler's frustration with the Ustaše's barbarism wasn't just about strategic concerns, it was a reaction to the sheer magnitude of their killing campaign. In a country of just 6 million people, the Ustašes murdered between 332,000 and 352,000 Serbs, nearly 25,000 Roma, and over 20,000 Jews. Such numbers, horrifying on their own, gain perspective when viewed proportionally, equivalent to wiping out the entire population of New York City and Los Angeles combined in today's America. The Ustašes implemented a systematic policy towards Serbs that Mile Budak, their Minister of Education, articulated with chilling clarity. 1/3 of the Serbs we shall kill, another third we shall deport, and the last third we shall force to embrace the Roman Catholic religion and thus become Croats. This became official policy, implemented methodically across Croatia. Unlike Nazi Germany, where religious conversion offered Jews no protection, the Ustašes created a genocidal framework where religious identity could sometimes offer an escape. Orthodox Serbs faced a terrible choice: convert to Catholicism or face extermination. By December 1941, records showed 200,000 Orthodox Serbs had voluntarily converted, though these certificates rarely provided lasting safety. Jasenovac, the largest concentration camp, contained a facility called Stara Gradiška, specifically for women and children. At least 20,000 children died in Ustaše camps, according to Yugoslav War Crimes Commission records. As one survivor recounted, "The screams of mothers as their children were torn away haunts me still. Some infants were locked in rooms to slowly starve while guards laughed outside." German officers documented guards holding competitions to see who could kill the most children in a single day, atrocities that disturbed even hardened Nazi officials. The regime declared Muslims to be Croats of Islamic faith, and the purist Croats, recruiting Bosnian Muslim units into special SS divisions. Yet this alliance didn't prevent massacres of Muslim villages when political circumstances changed. The Ustašes' fanaticism extended to murdering approximately 90,000 fellow Croats and Bosniaks suspected of communist sympathies or resistance. In villages with suspected partisan activity, entire Croatian families were killed as examples, demonstrating that ideological purity outweighed even ethnic solidarity. Diana Budisavljević documented how Ustaše authorities systematically separated Serbian children from parents before transporting them to camps. German General Edmund Glaise von Horstenau repeatedly protested, writing that the Ustaše were committing crimes against defenseless creatures in a mad orgy of murder. His complaints reached Hitler himself, who worried these excesses would strengthen Tito's partisan movement, a prediction fulfilled as survivors joined the resistance in overwhelming numbers. As the regime crumbled in 1945, many Ustaše leaders fled through what became known as the rat lines, escaping to South America with help from certain Vatican officials. Their ghosts linger in Croatia today, where controversies erupt over memorial sites and rehabilitation attempts. Their infamous salute periodically appears at sporting events and political rallies, sparking regional outrage. The Ustaše's dark legacy serves as a stark warning about how societies can descend into barbarity when hatred becomes official policy. This historical lesson demands our attention today. What similar warning signs might we be overlooking in our modern world? Subscribe for more historical insights that illuminate our present challenges.